11-0. They have outscored their adversaries. Looking to add to it. Lazar to the cup for two. Carly Lazar. 4:22 back set. Here is the winner for Elli Cook. There goes Strong with it. Oh, how about that? I'm always pretty well there to right. Going back to Gilpin and it's gone. A grand slam.
We welcome you into another season preview here on the Carlow Sports Network as we look at women's volleyball. I'm Sean Meyers, joined by the longtime head coach of the Celtics, Julie Gaul, 22nd year guiding this program, 30th overall. First off, thanks so much for doing this. Always enjoy talking to it each and every year before the season. How's everything going for you lately?
It's going great, Sean. It really is. Thank you for having me and taking this time to look into the women's volleyball program.
Absolutely. We have a lot of positives to talk about this season. First, I want to look back at a year ago. How did you evaluate the team's performance overall in 2021?
I think one of our main goals last year was to go to the USCAA championships, and we did it. And so we accomplished that goal, and her third place finish was the highest ever out of the 7 years that we attended the championships. So that was a pretty good evaluator in my eyes of how we did last season.
And I know certainly the players thought it was important to finish on that high note, to get that opportunity. Mm-hmm. Why was that so important to finish strong like you did?
I think it was just a nice ending to a season of travel and heavy competition. We had started out very strong with USCAA in the beginning and then played our River State schedule, which strength of schedule certainly helped us in our standings for qualifying for the Nationals. But to end on a high note, and for our seniors that we're able to, with Haley and Jenna, to experience that third place finish and excitement with their teammates was wonderful.
So, as you shift to this year, you had a long off season. What were some of the areas of focus for the team?
Typically in the off season, we do some conditioning together as a team, and we also spend time on individual skills. So usually it's your building off of where you left things as a team, knowing that we were going to have 6 new freshmen coming in too. It was a great time to work on individual skills.
You mentioned the 2 seniors who moved on, who are key parts, Haley Chisano, Jenny Yezovich. So they graduated. What are you going to miss most about that duo?
I loved their leadership and just them as people. So I miss seeing them and having them at practice. On the court, their serves were phenomenal too, in addition to the other skills they brought to the court. So that sticks out in my mind. But mostly just having them on the team and seeing them every day, I just miss them.
So you have 2 players move on due to graduation, but that means that the majority of your team is back from a year ago. Who are some of the returners that you're going to be counting upon?
Yeah, honestly, we count on everybody, Sean. I like to look at the full team chemistry because we have 17 on the roster right now, and every person plays a role. So our returners, I count heavily on our leadership of our newly voted captains, Elli Cook, Katie Tarasovich, and Megan Alexander, to provide some leadership there. We've had others really step up in the leadership category too, just on the court, off the court. So I think just a combination of those things for key returners. Of course, people bring their different skill set to the court, so we'll count on our setters to make that set, our passers and D-specs to make those defensive plays and get the rally started, and of course our blocking and hitting. So you have skills in every area that you count on, but most importantly is our team chemistry that we're working on right now.
Well, you talk about chemistry, you highlight the leadership. That's so important when you bring new players into that culture. And you have some pretty significant ones, as you mentioned, a good group of newcomers. So who has stood out to you, and what maybe are the expectations as a whole for the players who are new to Carlow?
We have 6 new players, so 6 first-year players, and they have brought a high volleyball IQ, more than any class, in recent years. And so right away we had competitive practices, scrimmages, pushing each other. Becca Hess right now is starting for us too, and she had a significant tournament over the weekend at the USCA tip-off. And I count on all of them, because if you're not on the court, then, at that time, there's 11 people on the bench. So, and at practice, we need to keep upping our game to make sure that we're more and more competitive against our opponents. So I count on all of them.
I'm sure you'll find out even more as the season goes along. But at this point, what do you think maybe the best strengths of this team are?
The best strengths, I think that right now, just their energy and enthusiasm, they're wanting to be at practice, and competitiveness. And what I'm noticing, especially after this first weekend of play, is their ability to finish. Where last year we struggled in finishing, if you know what I mean by that. So I think that's a main thing that I'm looking forward to seeing more of with this team, is to, once you're competing, how do you keep that mental toughness and finish the set, finish the match?
Well, you guys were able to do that as you swept all 4 matches in the tip-off tournament. What's the significance of getting off to that hot start?
Well, see, in our whole setup, as far as the schedule goes, we play all of our USCAA matches typically in September, and then we might not get to play any more of those until, is sparsely here and there throughout our River States schedule. So it is really important as you start looking later on as far as winning a bid, to the USCA Nationals, which we love going to that tournament. And, we're just going to hopefully keep moving forward with that.
Well, I know you said a year ago that was one of the goals, to get to the national tournament. You were able to do that. When you look at the goals for this season, what are they?
Yeah, that's one where an outcome that we want to have is to make it to the USCA Nationals. Some of the goals that the players made amongst themselves was more positive communication, consistent energy, and being focused and efficient. So being focused and efficient for the entire practice, the entire set, the entire match. So those are the top 3 right now that the team is working on, and an outcome that we want to see is improving in River States, of course, and to make it to the USCA Nationals.
Well, you mentioned River States, the River States Conference. They have a preseason poll every year. Your team came in 12th from that. What was your reaction to that ranking?
My reaction, I really don't look too much at the preseason poll, because you've not been tested at all, and a lot of times you don't know what the new teams are looking like, what are the freshman classes looking like. So what it is one match at a time, one game at a time, and we'll take each as they come to see how we do with River States. But it would be wonderful to be more competitive, which I think we are already for this year.
Well, we know the RSC is ultimately very challenging year in and year out. When you look at it and evaluate the landscape, what really stands out?
It is that high level of play that you're always going into battle when you go into a River States match, and on any given day, any team can win. So again, with our learning how to finish might help us be a little more successful in River States this year.
And I'm sure you'd love to have a nice little send-off to the River States Conference, because you're going to be shifting. All athletic programs will be here at Carlow to the AMCC next year. That's NCAA Division III. What was your reaction to that news?
I think it's a really solid move. One of the main things is we spend a lot of time traveling and out of classroom time, where the athletes miss the classes. I know it's a struggle, and we're still able to be successful. I think last year our volleyball grade point average was a 3.66, even with the travel and so forth. But you can't replace those classes, So I think that's going to help reduce time, have better experience maybe on campus, and not away. And I'm really looking forward to the new opponents. There are many of the same opponents that we played when I first started 30 years ago. So it's kind of come full circle. So I think it'll be an exciting time for Carlow athletics.
Well, coming full circle, I think that could apply to George Slyman, a familiar name. Obviously, he was a long-time athletic director here at Carlow, and he's been back helping out a little bit on staff. So what's that relationship been like?
I'll tell you, it's like we've never not been coaching together, if that makes sense. We said he helped us out We lost our assistant coach to an employment opportunity, and with Carlow Athletics, George, when I asked him, could he come back and help? Absolutely. Maggie, can you come back and help? Absolutely. And Mandy Toman, a former player and graduate assistant coach for us, is going to help out too. So, that's something where we've always supported each other in Carlow Athletics. They dropped everything to come and help because that's how much they care about the program and the success of the program.
Final question for you. It might kind of play off of that. What's the best aspect at working at Carlow University in your eyes?
In my eyes, it's the students, of course, and working with the students daily, not only as a coach, but as the wellness and fitness director, and offering, some positive, life skills to our students and our student athletes. And, like I said, I've been here 30 years and looking forward to a really good one.
Hopefully 30 more to come, right? Fingers crossed. Julie, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We always enjoy talking to you. Congratulations on the good start. Hopefully the Celtics keep it up the rest of the way.
Thank you, Sean.
That's Julie Gaul, head coach for the women's volleyball program here on the season preview. And we continue here on the season preview looking at Celtics women's volleyball for the 2022 season. I'm now joined by a senior, Katie Tarasovich, who will be playing libero this season. First off, thanks so much for doing this. I'm sure you're excited for another season just to be getting underway now.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, first off, I want to talk about last year because you had a nice finish this season. You guys played in the USCAA tournament. I'm sure it was a nice trip to Virginia Beach. What was that experience like for you?
It was a ton of fun. Just number one, being at the beach with all my friends, that was a ton of fun. And then we also ended in third, and that was like the best we've played like the whole season. We ended it on such a good note, and then we took that energy and all that playing into the spring season. And the spring season was also we ended that one really well too.
How did you evaluate your play individually a year ago?
I'd say I was just coming off of a shoulder injury, so I was kind of recovering from that, and I feel like I was just pushing myself and doing the best that I could do.
When you think about what you do best, what are your best attributes as a player?
I feel like I am just someone who kind of brings up the team in a way. I never get mad at anyone. I always make sure to make people feel loose and happy, and at least make them laugh when they're playing, because everyone plays better when they're loose.
How has your role evolved during your time at Carlow? Because I know you've played a number of different positions. You started as a hitter, and now you're transitioning to a libero, so it's been a lot of changes.
Yeah, it's fun. I like playing, so I don't care. I like playing everything. I really like hitting. That's always really fun. It's more of an adrenaline rush whenever you get a kill. But playing libero is also really fun. It's a lot more discipline. There's a lot more that goes into being a libero.
You're an upperclassman, so I'm guessing you might be one of the leaders. Who else do you expect to lead this team?
The other senior, Elli. Just the two seniors will probably just lead the team.
Do you feel like you have a little bit more responsibility in that regard?
Being an upperclassman, I feel like you have to be responsible.
What will the team's biggest strengths be this year?
I feel like we are really working on energy, and I feel like we are really trying to have positive communication and just energy.
I'm sure you set goals for the team and maybe for yourself. What are those?
For the team goal is to make it to nationals in Virginia Beach again, and for myself is just, as a libero, I'm just trying to just be the best libero I can for the team, and just always moving my feet to the ball.
Your head coach, Julie Gaul, has been here for a long time and had a lot of success. What are her best qualities?
Throughout all her years of volleyball, it has provided her with a lot of knowledge of the game, and she continues to teach us more about the game every practice, and she's just a very happy-go-lucky person, and she's always smiling, and that's always positive to be.
I'm sure you're hoping that you're going to create some great memories this year, but to this point, what's maybe a moment that stands out in your college volleyball career?
I'd probably say going to Virginia Beach last year. That will probably be a memory I'll probably never forget. It was just a ton of fun.
Well, hopefully, as you said, you get to do it a second time again. Lastly, what makes Carlow so special to you?
Carlow is special to me because it's close to my home. and it offers a great education. I'm studying nursing, and it's just one of the best nursing schools in the state, which is why I chose Carlow.
Well, Katie, thanks so much for doing this. We look forward to seeing you have a lot of success this year on the court as well.
Thank you.
That's Katie Tarasovich, a senior here on the season preview. We roll along here on the season preview. I'm now joined by another senior, Elli Cook, for the Celtics, a hitter. So first off, thanks for doing this. I'm sure that there's a lot of excitement now looking at your senior season. What's it been like?
Our senior season so far has been really good. I feel like our practices have been really starting off good, and we've been playing very well as a team. We just kind of hope to build on that throughout the season.
Well, what did you learn from a year ago? Because it was a great start for your team, but then once you got in the conference, there were certainly some struggles. What were the takeaways?
I would say that we're definitely working on and still learning about playing at a faster speed of the game. We're working on getting higher passes and focusing on really just making quicker sets to really just speed up our own pace of the game to kind of keep up with the rest of the teams.
One thing you did really well last year was you served well. You led the team in aces. So when you think back to that success, what really stood out that allowed you to do that?
One thing I do is I just really focus. I do the same routine every time, and I just pick the person I want to go to, or if the coach gives it to me, I just really focus in on that and just go there.
Speaking of focus, what was your focus during the off season in terms of where you wanted to improve your game?
I would say we worked really hard on covering more. I feel like we've done a lot better with defensive plays and stuff like that, but one thing we really honed in on was just getting that coverage better.
Who do you think might have a breakout season this year for Carlow?
I like to say Angel Klein. She's one of our defensive specialists, and I just really see her going forward this season.
Let's talk about the objectives you set for yourself and for your team in 2022.
We set the objective of going to nationals. That's always a big one that we always set, and as I spoke about previously, just really playing at a faster pace and playing together as a team. That's what we're honing in on.
You came by way of Connellsville, which is in the WPIAL. The vast majority of this roster also former WPIAL products. Does that help the chemistry a little bit?
Yeah, I actually would say yes, because I played against, probably more than two, but two close teammates of mine, Allison and Megan. I just remember playing them the most, and we always talk about just comparing the game, and it's so different watching somebody else play on a different team and focusing on what they do, and now building it onto your own team. It's pretty interesting.
What led to your decision to come to Carlow?
Originally, I came because I wanted to be a perfusionist, but now I switched to nursing, and I'm happy with my decision.
Pretty good choice either way. Let's talk about what matches you might be most looking forward to this year.
Ooh, I would say St. Mary of the Woods. I feel like that was one that really just stuck in my brain from last season, and I just really want to see how much we've improved and play against them this year.
What's your favorite thing about playing the sport of volleyball?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say my favorite thing is just overall the energy it gives me, and the happiness among friends and teammates.
And I'm sure a lot of excitement when you get an emphatic spike that goes for a big point. Lastly, fill in the blank. This will be a successful season if
we stay focused.
Well, we hope that comes to fruition. Elli, thanks so much for taking the
Thank
time.
you.
Have a great senior season for the Celtics. That's Elli Cook as we continue here on the season preview for women's volleyball.